Hello, hello. This mini lesson, While You Write, is about punctuating dialogue, dealing with dialogue, handling dialogue, using dialogue. Because for many of you, your personal narrative is going to include dialogue. So let's jump right in. There are some rules to keep in mind when you're using dialogue in your personal narrative and just in general when you're storytelling and writing. Number one is maybe the most obvious one, is that you're going to be using quotation marks for the dialogue. Out loud words get quotation marks. In this example from Harry Potter, you'll notice that he wheezed that Harry is the attributive tag. You're still going to be using attributive tags while storytelling. And it looks like Harry's uncle says, "Go to your cupboard." Your bedroom. And the words from Harry's uncle are in quotation marks. Number two builds on the idea of using quotation marks. They're referring here to identifying the speaker. We use the language attributive tag, but it's the same thing. And they're saying, like, look, instead of using a period at the end of the sentence, you're going to use a comma when you use the attributive tag. So, said the giant, these are Hagrid's words, and you can see before the attributive tag, you would use a comma. On a side note, what I also like about number two is that it's Hagrid's dialect. Like, he doesn't use the T in last. Last time I saw you, you was only a baby. And even the poor grammar here is part of Hagrid's character. It's part of showing who Hagrid is. Sometimes his yous become yes. You look like your dad. Your becomes your. Some sort of you've become yev. And I don't know if this is just a British thing, but moms becomes mums. So the dialect and the way that you punctuate the dialogue also helps show who somebody is. Number three, if you pose a question, as in this case, these are Ron's words. Here's the attributive tag. You'll notice there's no comma before the attributive tag, but it's Ron's question. He says, what do they think they're doing, keeping a thing like that locked up in a school? ? Because Ron asks the question. But it's not going to be question mark, comma. Same thing with an exclamation mark. Here's the exclamation mark. Here's the exclamation mark, followed by the attributive tag, Harry's words. It's not exclamation point, comma. Number five, if you're interrupting some speech, so you interrupt some speech to add your attributive tag. In this case, it's just a slight interruption with the attributive tag. "Professor," Harry gasped, "your bird. I couldn't do anything. He just caught fire." So, this is not the end of the quote, but because Harry gasped is not part of the out loud dialogue, the attributive tag is not in quotation marks. Open quote, end quote, open the quote back up, end the quote, and its finality with the attributive tag interrupting some of the speech. This is just a matter of variety. Instead of always having your attributive tags at the front or your attributive tags at the back, in this case, the attributive tag is interrupting the thing that has been said out loud. Speaking of ideas that are out loud, when you're using unspoken thought or thinking, the general rule is that out loud dialogue goes in quotation marks and that thinking goes in italics. So here's the attributive tag for this piece. He thought bitterly. Of course he thought bitterly. And then here is the thinking, and you'll notice it's kind of hard to tell with this font, but Uncle Vernon was talking about the stupid dinner party is in italics. It's the thinking. So apparently that goes for other other kinds of dialogue as well, particularly text messages. Now this one's talking about styling text messages in fiction, but this applies for using text messages in just general storytelling as well. And there's just two things I want to show you. Two examples. In this case, from the book Gravity. It was from 2016. Hey, the text reads. And you'll notice that the attributive tag is the text reads, and hey, comma, which is the text, is in italics. Hey yourself, I text back, I miss you. And you notice there's two sections here. Like in the previous example, this attributive tag, I text back, interrupts the text. So the text would read, hey yourself, I miss you. But the writer has noted whose words they are with the attributive tag here, and then continued the text right here. So that's one way to handle a text message if you're dealing with it. And I think the other one I wanted to show you is, it's right here. This writer has put the text messages in bold. Text message in bold. So one writer has said, you free? And the other writer has replied, depends on who you are. And you'll notice it's a new paragraph and a new paragraph. Speaking of new paragraph, all dialogue is handled that way. So if we go back to page 5, this is from The Streets of Memphis, and I think the thing you'll notice is that in this string of dialogue, Mom says, who brings the food into the house? And Richard, sorry, let me get this set up slowly as it's happening. Here we go. Who brings food into the house? Here's the attributive tag, my mother asked me. New paragraph, Papa, Richard says. Mom says, well, your father isn't here now. New paragraph, Richard says, where is he? And you notice there's no attributive tag here. You don't need one. This string of conversation between two people, it's clear because of the paragraphing whose words they are. Here's Mom's words, she said. Here's Mom's words again, she said. That must mean this attributive tagless dialogue right here is Richard. So general rule for dialogue, new paragraph for a new speaker. New speaker, new paragraph. You got this.